Hey, welcome to Dan's Model Works. And we're in my main workshop, which is supposed to be a woodworking wood shop. But haven't done much woodworking in here. So I really should have started my Father's Day project a couple weeks ago. I just didn't get around to it. So it's, like I said, the beginning of June. And if we go up here to this shelf here, this is actually Natasha's stash. The exception of the oil rig, which I expect her to appropriate from me one day. Anyway, hiding up here is the tracker, which originally was my father's kit. And if you didn't watch the Father's Day tribute last year, a bit of an update. This kit was originally my father's kit, and he had it stashed away in his attic. And my original plan was last year I was going to build this for him and give it to him on Father's Day. However, the prostate cancer that he had been fighting for, I think, probably 4 or 5 years, finally became terminal shortly before Father's Day, and we thought he was going to have probably another year left, but the cancer had spread pretty much into his abdomen and his stomach, and he didn't even make it to Father's Day. So spending time with him and dealing with everything that was going on was more important than getting this model done. And like I said, if you saw last year's video, you'll know that he passed away just about a week before Father's Day. So for the Father's Day tribute this year, I want to actually complete this plane. And the reason that I felt it was important to do a Grumman tracker was my father served in the Royal Canadian Navy, and he also served aboard the HMCS Bonaventure, which was Canada's aircraft carrier. And for most of its existence in Canadian service, it operated a squadron of tracker anti-submarine planes, and he was a weather officer, and his job was to basically give weather information to the air crews and to let them know when there was enough wind over the front of the aircraft carrier to take off. There are better models of the tracker out there. The important thing is this model belonged to him, even though he never got around to building it. And I did tell him it was my intention to get it built for him for Father's Day, and he knew that it was going to be for him. So instead, it's going to be my annual tribute to all the dads out there. So let's see how far we got with it. This is actually a calendar page that he had, and he just kind of stuffed it in there. We've got the decals that come with the kit. We've got the transparencies, what little there are to them. Instructions. And as you can see, I did start things. I got the fuselage together. Started putting the cabin together. It's a pretty stubby looking plane. Hadn't really done anything with the wings yet. And I actually don't see the engines. I think they're over on my hobby bench. I do have a set of Ken Miller decals. And the funny thing was I mail ordered these, and it wasn't until I received them that I was like, shoot, I could have just like walked over to this guy's house and got them. Because he lives in London just like I do. So here are the decals for the Bonaventure. You can see right there, this is Bonaventure. And this comes with some photos basically to show you how to place them and everything like that. Looking forward to using those. And it also gives you some idea of what colors to use. So we're basically going to need 2 grays, a darker gray for the upper surfaces, and then a more intermediate gray for the sides and the underside. I was tempted to maybe swap out the radial engines here for the spare engines that Natasha had from her CL415, which was actually for the earlier 215. However, these are Pratt & Whitney are 2800s. Anyway, they're a 2-row radial, whereas the engines that the tracker had were single-row radials. So that really wouldn't be appropriate. So I'm just going to go with these ones. I think they're fine. No real problems there. So far, the fit has not been terrible. It hasn't been wonderful, but not terrible. These joins right here, I'm going to be using a little bit of white glue just to take up some of the space. Same thing back here. The tail feathers didn't go on too badly. I say till now. The fit of the nacelles, I'm tempted to say diabolical, but I would assume that somebody designed them to be this bad. I don't know. The front isn't too horrible. The back is just ridiculous. You can see there's the where the sonobuoys eject from. You can see that doesn't even come close to fitting. And not only that, just to get it to stay together, I've got a misalignment here, and one side is thicker than the other. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pack the inside with some filler just to avoid the see-through effect. And then, of course, I'm going to have to do quite a bit of other puttying on it. And if we put it on the wing here, you can see it's not beautiful either. I mean, the tracker itself is a lumpy utilitarian plane anyway, but at least everything on the real plane seems to fit. If we look in towards the back of the nacelle, you can see I've basically squirted some white glue in there. The nice thing about that is the surface tension will keep it, hopefully, from rushing out the back, and it gets rid of most of the gap around that part. Just a quick update on the fit issues with the tracker. You can see that this nacelle, I've already done a couple applications of putty in order to ferret into the wing. This one has just been glued on. You can see it still has a substantial seam there. This join here is probably going to get a little bit of putty. The front join definitely is going to get some putty. And the cockpit, as you can see, I've already done some filing before I glued the thing on. It's basically fitting where it touches. You can see there's a gap on either side of the corners here. And I've actually rubbed down the fuselage here and here to get it to follow the profile of the canopy a little bit more. And the actual windows are nowhere near as extensive as the glazing. And really, we're never going to see a whole lot inside there, which is why I didn't put any more effort into the inside. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to put some rectangles of masking tape over the windscreen. I'm going to mask over the bubble windows and the two windows up here. And then I'm going to putty all around there and sand it down, and hopefully what tiny bit of translucency we already have will be preserved, and at least we'll end up with a canopy that looks like it belongs on the plane as opposed to being, well, a football helmet, which is what this looks like. So I'm shooting this using my currently in service cell phone, an LG G5, which I'm pretty happy with, and I've done a lot of action shooting with this phone. Up until now, 99.99% of Dan's model works has actually been shot on my older cell phone, an LG G4, I think it was. No, sorry, this was a Nexus 5. This is what this was, and there's a crack in the glass screen, It's actually a protector screen I had on it, but anyway. Um, we can't hear anything on this phone, which is why I stopped using as a phone. As a camera, it was actually working pretty good. But lately, when I plug it into the computer, it takes a siesta and completely craps out, and I'm never quite sure if I'm going to get everything off of it. This is my new camera, which I've done a few field trip videos with. Hopefully we'll be seeing those in the not too distant future. I haven't used this in the workshop yet because I haven't made something to hold it yet. I don't want a big tripod, and I don't want to pay for one either. As a matter of fact, to give you some idea of what a crude channel you're watching, this is how we were filming on Dan's Model Works for the last 2 years. We've basically had a cell phone perched on a chunk of wood. And it worked. So anyway, the reason I'm bringing this up is I don't have quite as much footage on the tracker as I planned. So let's get this out of the way. And I'll bring the tracker over. As you can see, it has been painted. And I still have a little bit of detail work to do. I've got to put the engines in. Oh yeah, propellers need to be painted. I better get on to that. So, just thought I'd give you a picture before everything is all finished up, which is hopefully going to be very soon. So this is why we're at the Canadian Warplane Museum today, just so we could get a shot of the model of the HMCS Bonaventure, which of course you can see there's a whole pile of trackers on board this model. This model is 1/72nd scale, so it gives you some idea that the Bonaventure was not a particularly large aircraft carrier. Also at the Warplane Heritage Museum is a former Royal Navy tracker which is being restored to flyable condition. When it was donated, it was pretty much in static condition, but they inspected it and decided that it was certainly restorable to flying state. If we just pan along the hangar, you can see some of the other things on display here. So, through the miracle of working on it at the last minute, I've got my Father's Day tribute for 2018 completed. And this is basically the paint scheme that was found on the Royal Navy or Royal Canadian Navy trackers, as based on the Bonaventure. And in case I haven't already mentioned it in this video, the reason that, well, number one, it was a model that my dad had purchased and was planning on building. But the reason that he had a thing for the trackers is on board the Bonaventure, he served in the meteorological office, and as well as giving weather reports to the flight crews, they would also be stationed at the very bow, at the front of the flight deck, and they had a wind anemometer, basically a meter to tell them when they had enough air coming over the bow that it was the appropriate time to launch the trackers. So since he was, obviously not a pilot, but since he was involved with supporting the flight crews, this is why this model was special. And as such, this is the Father's Day tribute that I've made for this year, and I'll have some close-up pictures soon. The Hobbycraft tracker certainly is a bit of a challenge to build. A lot of things don't particularly fit very well on it. But if you persevere, you can build a decent model with it. So the Ken Miller decals turned out really, really good. They were really glossy to start, but after applying Solvaset to them, I found they took on the same sheen as the rest of the plane. So thanks for watching my Father's Day tribute this year. And if you are a father, happy Father's Day. And if you're not a father, if you're a mother, happy Mother's Day next year. Can't leave anybody out. And until next time, just keep on modeling.